Hello ladies and gents, and welcome back to the channel. Very recently I released a video where I unboxed the Rokr Last City marble run, and you can go and check it out if you haven't seen it. It's pretty cool, I would say. Very cool looking model, and one of my subscribers had a very good idea. So my plan at first, sort of, was to do it step by step, but as I looked at the instructions, I was like, no, this is far too easy. I don't think it needs it. And there are a couple of videos out already. I don't know if they're any good, but you can always go and check them out. So, my subscriber's idea was, it would be actually better to just basically do the marble lift step by step, and then marble run as a speed build, because that is the easy part. And the lift actually could look slightly more complicated than the marble run, mostly because the instructions look slightly messy. And even though our marble run will not be completed in this video, we can still test the run by using this motherboard. Obviously it's not the motherboard, it's just the electronics control board, you see, and we're simply gonna plug it in and see if it works by the end of this video. And also this, because this is our switch. Otherwise, if we plug in this control board to power, it's not gonna work because we need a button. So this is the actual button. So locate the cable that has this metal piece right here, because this is your button right here. So as soon as we're gonna touch it, it will turn on. And before we begin, everybody, I would so appreciate if you left a like for this video down below. That would be massively appreciated. And of course, subscribe for more videos like this one and all sorts of model videos. And just to let you know, my compadre's face here does not jitter like that. It looks completely normal. It just looks really strange in the camera for some reason. Must be something to do with like high resolution and so on and so on. Anyways, let's get this opened and begin. Right. Let's get all the parts out. Well, we'll start with the instructions. So, as I mentioned already, they could look slightly complicated. So, we've got our parts list, which is really handy, so just keep that to the side somewhere just for now. And we've got two booklets of instructions. And one of them is for actually showing you how you can set up the lifts to be able to connect multiple marble runs. So this one right here, because I've only got one marble run, we don't need this. So you can get rid of this one, the one that says lift, E, F, G and so on. Oh well, this will be easier. Assembly instructions for lift, E, F, G. So you can get rid of that for now, for this video. We don't need it. And then we come to this blueprint. Yeah, this is absolutely massive. Very quite annoying, to be honest. I do not like blueprints like this. It's just messy and not as easy to follow. I kind of wish they just put it in literally this nice looking instruction booklet like for the actual marble run. Why couldn't they just do that? I don't understand that. Anyways, so when we look at this, let me turn it around actually. So we are gonna start off where it says assembly instructions for lift A, B, C, D. So when we go through this is actually everything that we have to follow on this page. When you turn it around, you don't have to follow everything. The only lift we're going to follow in this video is, again, because we've only got one marble run / one lift, is only assembly instructions for lift A. You can ignore the rest of them. We don't need them. And then again, when we come to assembly instructions for lift A, B, C, D, they do look a little bit messy. I'm not so keen on these. Obviously they're very detailed, but they're a bit messy. So we have to start on here. So let's say here it says number 1 completion. So we start on number 1. So I'm going to call it number 1 instructions and then step 1 at the bottom. See how there's number 1 under number 1. Then you look for instructions number 1 again and look for number 2, which is right here, and the same goes on number 2. So when you go to number 2, you look for number 1 underneath, then number 2, then number 3, and so on and so on. But yeah, I'm not so keen on this gigantic blueprint. And then we simply take everything out. So I'm gonna leave this actual lift in the middle just for now. Oi, 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 Manny, sorry for hurting your leg, jeez, oh. So just take everything out, make sure you're familiar with all the parts. We can take everything out that's in this bag as well. Everything should be numbered in the bags already. Yep, I can see it through. And do exactly the same thing for the rest of them. Obviously, don't take these out just yet because you'll have to know the part numbers and all the rest of it, because you don't want to somehow pick up the wrong pieces. It would be pretty hard to do it, but just be extremely careful. And if we will, because I'm pretty sure we will, have some parts left over, just keep them. Do not get rid of them, because one day you might get another marble run or another 3 and want to connect them and will realise, oh, I'm actually missing some parts, so don't bin them. Okay, so everything's been unpacked. We have familiarised ourselves with everything that's here on the table and the instructions, and what I do personally that helps me a ton, makes my life so much easier. You can do it as well if you want to, but you don't have to. What I normally do is I line up my steps instead of doing it step by step, if that makes sense. So I look at the instructions, so I'm like, oh, step 1, I pop a wee pile down, then another one, then another one. It just makes my life so much easier and it's a bit more enjoyable. And don't forget guys, if you fancy any of Rokr/Robotime kits, I've got a link in my video description and the comments section, and don't forget to use my promo code Martins15 to save you 15% on literally everything that's on their website. It's not valid on Amazon or anywhere else, only on their website. And here we go. As you can see, I've only got a few steps lined up because I'm just gonna start with basically instructions number 1 and then do instructions number 2 and so on and so on. Right, first step's very nice and straightforward. So when we hold this piece, of course you can see 2 holes right here. There are 3 holes at the back, but that's for screws, so don't touch that. So we simply pop in these metal rods and we're going to use a screwdriver to kind of help you push them right in. Okay. You can of course just pop the black piece on your worktop and push them in. It's basically however it makes it for you to do it easier. There we go. So that's that right in. There we go. Very nice and easy. And then when we come to this piece, this metal piece goes in it first. So it looks like a magnet, but it's actually not. And make sure, obviously, it goes in the right hole right here. It's kind of not threaded, sorry, like a hexagon. There you go. And obviously, it's not going to fit on the other side. So just push that straight in. There we go. And then that goes on these metal rods right here, but you have to make sure it goes on the right way, not like this. So hold this like that and it doesn't go on like this, no. So you need to make sure that this little leg right here points to the left. There we go. And just pop it on, just like that. So it's going to stay nice and loose. In the instructions, it looks like it's stuck like this, something like this, but as you can see, it's actually really loose. And then we got this little guy that just pops on the top, just to help, you know, just to make sure basically that the other piece doesn't come off, you know, makes sense. There we go. Push that straight on. And then, when we come to this is going to go on the box now, well, in the box. So when you look at it, as you can see, there's a hole at the top, yeah? Make sure you kind of keep it to the right and not to the left like this. Well, you could if you wanted to, but I'm going to keep it to the right, and this goes in like that. So everything that we just attached goes to the back of the box, and when we slide it in, it's kind of just going to fall in the holes that are in there already for the screws, which is quite satisfying. See that? It just fell in. If you turn it upside down, it will fall out very easily, but of course, there's going to be screws that are going in right now. So we've got 3 screws right here. Let's pop the first one on. So yeah, I'm using a little magnet, which is pretty cool, you know, helps as you can see. So I'm gonna hold it down with a finger and just pop that screw in. Okay, that's our first screw in, so it's nice and tight. Obviously, again, as I mentioned, don't over tighten it, and pop another 2 screws in the other 2 holes right there. Okay, our first pieces are in. Nice one. Now I'm gonna line up pieces for my instructions number 2. Okay, so we've got all our bits out and lined up, ready to go for instructions number 2. So let's move on to our step number 1 in instructions number 2. So we've only got one screw and we've got our controls board right here. So when we hold this piece, just make sure that hole, this big opening, is pointing downwards. And the same comes with this cable. So when this goes on, make sure the cable literally comes right down. It'll just make life easier. And then the controls board goes right on that hole really nicely. As you can see, it just falls into place and it's not going anywhere. So there's no way you can mess that up. And just kind of keep the cable to the side, and of course straighten the cable out first because it's going to be wrapped around the actual controls board. And then we simply grab a screw, pop it on your screwdriver, okay, make sure it lines up, there we go, nicely in, and then your screw. Again, obviously do not over tighten it, especially this control board. As long as it's in really nice and tight, that's all you need. Do not over tighten it. There you go, that will do perfectly. Nice one. Then we go on to our next steps right here, and we have to turn this guy around, literally like that, and make sure again the opening stays towards you, basically towards the worktop. There you go. And then when the screw goes in, we need to make sure this is facing the right direction. Not like this. See that? Not like that. It has to go in like this. And there is also a hole there. It's okay, you don't need to line it up just now because that will happen slightly later. And I'm going to show you why. Well, there's basically going to be pins going in, so it's okay. Let's see. So screw goes in, just like that. And yep, as you can see, it's nice and loose, as it should be, because obviously it's a gear, so it has to move. And we will be able to line up that hole with a hole that's at the back here in just a moment. So on to our next steps right here. And see, when you come to this guy right here, because this is going on it, you need to make sure it's going on to the right place. So see how there's a bit right here, and it looks like it's got like not a sleeve, a spacer down there at the bottom. That's where this has to go, and not on the other side where it's just poking out on its own. That is a no-no. So keep it the right direction basically, and pop it on like this, and then pop a screw on. Okay, just the one screw, we do not need 3. Okay, so just make sure it's in the right place. There we go. Let's see, yep. I'm just checking if it's gonna get really tight or not, so it doesn't, so it's nice and loose, so that is nice. And then we come to this guy right here. Again, just pay attention to how you put it in. So you need to use that plain side. See on how this plastic piece is at the back of this metal piece? That's how this is going on as well, so to the back, see that? And the plain side, and not the other side like that. Like you could put it in, but that's just incorrect, you know. Okay, grab another screw and pop that straight on right in there. Nice, as you can see, everything is nice and loose and in correct places. Then we come back to this guy, and it is going on right on here, like that. So when you're holding it, again, the hole faces towards you basically, and this is how it's going on. See that? Right here. So this plastic, half plastic gear is, or a quarter actually, is sitting on these plastic lines right there, and it's sliding very nice and smoothly. And then we pop a screw in right here, as you can see, and there we go. Look at that. That works really nicely and really smooth, which is absolutely awesome. No wax required, which is even better. And now, this is where you have to line up this gear with the hole that's at the back, and same with this gear right here. So we turn it around where the control board is, and we pop the spin in at the top right here, and just make sure it goes through the hole, through the gear, just to keep it into place for now. We will remove it later on, so don't worry about that, it's not going to stay there forever. So make sure just that it pokes out just a little bit, and we do exactly the same here. So make sure that gear kind of lines up with a hole, and it goes through the control board. There's a hole right there, so just push it in gently, don't be forcing in like a maniac, you know. There we go. See that? and that's poking out a little bit as well. It's just holding everything in the place so it's not totally loose. Awesome. Okay, on to our next step right here. So we're going to put in the motor, and then the instructions, if you look at it, you can see that the black cable is facing up when the motor is going in, so it's going to go in like that, and the black cable is facing up. So that's how I'm going to keep it. I do not think it's going to make much difference because it's exactly the same on both sides, and it's just going to get plugged in anyways. It's maybe to save you kind of twisting the cable too much, possibly. So when the motor goes in, it will go in right here, as you can see, but you might be wondering, so how's it going to hold in place? This guy, see this loose guy right here, so that goes over it right here like that. See that? It kind of locks into place, and then we simply pop the motor in. So I'm keeping, again, yep, that cable to the top. Let's see. Have a look. Yep, there you go. As you can see, it is in, and you do not want a gap like right here. See how I just pulled out a little bit? You do not want a gap there. Awesome, nice one. And obviously if you move the motor a little bit just now, nothing is happening because we've got the pins in to keep it into place, you see. And now we've got our little wee cover to hold it into place, so that literally just pops straight on here through that cable. Go, and then we simply pop the screws in those screw holes. There's one right here and one right here, and as you can see, that's the motor cover on to keep it very nicely into place. And I know when you look at the instructions, the motor and the actual cover looks straight, but I'm pretty sure that does not matter because we can see the space around it and there's nothing going in there at all. As long as this hole is open, we should be happy, and the motor is obviously going to work. And now all that's left to do in instructions number 2 is to plug this motor in the actual control board, which is right there. There's 2 pins right in here. So when you look at this, you can see the 2 holes. Keep those 2 holes to the top of it, and that's how it's going to go in. So 2 holes to the top. Just be very gentle when you bend that cable. See, you can use tweezers if you wanted to, you know. I do have sausage fingers, but I'm just being very careful. And then I use my nails to push it in. There we go. See that? Excellent, guys. Very nice. Okay, so we go on to our next step where we attach this to our actual lift right here. So it's going to go on the inside of this. But I'm just going to let you know, see when you come to these screws, there are like 4 black screws altogether in that one single bag, but they are different sizes, as you can see. So you need a bigger one, just to let you know. That would be quite easily actually to kind of mix them up. And when that goes in, this board right here, so the motor stays at the bottom towards you basically, and it goes in like this. So see that piece that we popped in at the bottom, that stays at the bottom. So when this goes in, you can see 2 holes right in there. There's one right there and the other one right there. So pop that in, and this is where actually a magnet comes in really handy. There we go, so we should just slide in. There you go, just like that, and it kind of locks itself into place already, but yeah, a magnet on a screwdriver, really handy. And then we simply pop the 2 screws in. There we go, and I'm not sure if you heard it, but my cat is meowing outside the door. It's probably hungry. Once this video is done, don't you worry, I'm gonna feed him. Well, he's had breakfast already, but he's a greedy bugger, I'll tell you. Right, get a magnet off the motor. Oh, come on. Come on. Oh my god, my magnet's stuck. Yay, there you go. So I'm gonna take you off because the screw is kinda in already. There we go. So again, don't over tighten it. There we go, that is very nicely and tightly in. Can you see that? Yep, that is absolutely awesome. Then when we come to our next step, so this is the actual lifts, I'm pretty sure, that will just simply go in like that and it'll just keep going like this all the time. But I kind of find it a bit surprising that it did not actually number them or letter them on the actual cardboard pieces, but you can tell the difference between them. So when you look at these do have like bits sticking out on the sides, as you can see, but when you look at this one, there is no bits sticking out, so just leave that on the side and move on to these. So when we look at this, we have to turn it around, so again the motor stays at the bottom, and literally just turn it like this. So when we look at the instructions, this is the one that we need to pop in on the left hand side, and not this one that has a wee leg at the bottom. Do not put that in onto the left hand side, and it'll just go in like this. So we turn it like that and it pops in literally like that, because there's a wee slot, see that right there, that's where this is going in, and you just simply drop it in, see that, just like that. And exactly the same with this, so make sure that leg stays at the bottom, and there's literally no way you can put it in incorrectly, it's impossible. So literally just drop it in basically, there you go, just like that, very nice. And then we come to our actual transparent cover right here. It looks really quite nice, quite slick, but I'm actually quite shocked that there's no protection film on it. Normally on their plastic pieces there's protection film on them, but yeah, not on this one. So the two little wee legs will go at the bottom of it, just like that, and let's just push it in. There you go, literally just like that. Oh, and I was gonna actually mention, before you put this in, make sure the inside of it is clean, so you don't have to keep taking it out to clean it, yeah, you know what I mean? So I gave it a little bit clean. Outside doesn't matter, because you can just clean it whenever you fancy. And look at this, guys. This is absolutely awesome. So the big, nice blueprint page, the first one, is completed. We can now turn the actual instructions. Let me actually show you, just so you know exactly what I'm talking about. There we go. So this big page that says in assembly instructions for left ABCD, that is done. Now we turn it around and we literally follow assembly instructions. Oh, you can't see actually. Assembly instructions for left A. So this is the only thing we're gonna do now, and then the left is completed. So we've got our next and last piece is popped out, and then our left is going to be completed, and we're going to test it out to see if it works. So when we go to our next pieces, this one of course is very straightforward, but when we come to the actual tilting pieces, you might get slightly confused. Well, maybe not confused, but you might just pick the wrong piece. But the one that we need is the one that's got this little wee leg sticking out, see that? Because when we look at the other one, there is no legs sticking out. So this is the one that we need. And then we have to pay attention to how this is going on this long leg. So make sure the long leg is basically facing you like this, and these, I'm going to call them wings. Well, it's a marble track, as you can see. Make sure that's staying up the way. So this is how you hold it. Make sure this higher edge is up and this little bit's at the bottom. And see that little leg right here. That is going to go in this hole right here on the right hand side and not the left. So in number 2 basically, see how there's number 1 and number 2. So this is how it's going on. There might be a little click at the end as well. There we go, so push it on and pop it straight in. There we go, there was a small little wee click, which is exactly what we need to hear. And this is how the marble is going to divert that way basically to go back into the marble run. And then we simply grab our actual lift, and there are 2 slots at the top. There's one right there, because it's quite dark it's hard to see. So there's 2 slots, well, that slot right here, yeah, that's very hard to see actually. Oh, there we go, that's better. There we go, there's a slot right here, and there's one on the opposite side. So make sure you hold it like this, yeah, so the motor is at the bottom, and this is how you hold this, and this is how it goes straight in. Just make sure it goes in straight and not squint. There should be a click, I think. Yep, there was. And there we go, that is that in. Absolutely awesome. And now we come to the motor cable, and there's a little wee gap right here, see that? That's where the cable's going in here. Just hold in with the finger, just for now. And then that goes through this little wee hole on the left hand side there. Just like that. See that? Nice and easy. And now what we need to do is pop 2 stickers on this side just to keep the cable into place. So just give it a little wee bend, simply pull it off, there we go, just like that. It's like a material type of sticker, which feels quite nice, to be honest. And just gently pop it on. You could probably use tweezers if you wanted to, because it's quite a small piece. There we go. Whoa. Something like that. If it's slightly messy, it doesn't really matter. Just make sure the sticker doesn't go on this actual edge right here, because that's where the cover is going to go on. And then we got one more to pop on right below it. And there we go. See that? That looks really quite nice and neat-ish, I'm going to say. It doesn't have to be that neat, of course, because it's hidden anyways. And you will have also noticed that my pins are still in. You can remove them now. You could have removed them previously. It doesn't really matter as long as they're removed before the last cover goes on. So I'm going to remove them right now, just nice and gentle. Don't act like an animal. There we go. First one out and the second one out, and now that's going to release all the gears on the other side for it to work. So when we come to the cover, keep that hole to the left hand side, of course, again motor facing down, because we've got the screw hole right here towards the left hand side. So simply pop in at the bottom first and then push it in, and again, see, when we come to these black screws, now we go and use the smaller one and not that longer one. Longer one? Bigger one. And we only need one. Simply goes in here. Do not over tighten again. And there we go. That's the lift completed, and it looks really neat. I really like that front. They're really quite cool. And yeah, I cannot wait to see the completed marble run with the lift attached, because it will look like a custom built PC. Okay, now it's time to plug it in and test it out. And by the way, before I forget, all the pieces that have been left over, like these ones right here, do not get rid of anything again, because you will definitely need them, especially these, and just leave them in their corresponding bags, because you do not want to mess it up if you're connecting multiple marble runs. So we've got our controls board right here, so the actual lift is gonna plug in here. But when you're plugging in, just be very careful. So when you look at it, you can see 2 pins. They're kind of at the top mostly. So make sure that the holes that you see here are at the top when they're going in here. And then our actual switch is going to plug in here. Again, just pay attention to the actual pins. And then when we talk about the actual power supply, this is the port that you want to use. This port is for basically transferring the power to another marble run. So plug it in here for testing. So as you can see, the lift and the power button has been plugged in. Now we can plug in the actual mains, so your USB cable, C-type, and as you can see, a green light comes on, which means it's got power. And I just by an accident touched this button with my hand, and yep, it is working. To simply turn it off, you just have to touch it. And I've got 4 marbles with me right here, so I'm going to pop them in at the bottom, and we should be able to see them lift up. Let's see if I can pop all 4 in at the same time. I don't know if that's a good idea. It should be alright. So I'm going to lift it up a little bit. It is quite dark, to be honest. But let's see, I'm going to leave it down actually, so it's on a flat surface, because it's kind of tilted at the bottom. Let's see if you can see the marbles come up. So I should be able to catch them from the top. There we go. Yep, you can see the marbles go up. That is absolutely awesome! Okay, that's our first one. Where's the other 2? They're stuck somewhere. Yeah, that was probably a bad idea to put in 4. Let me have a look. Oh yeah, got them. So they kind of just went at the back there. Okay, let's turn it on again. Yep, there's our first one coming up, and the other one's still stuck in there. There it is, there it comes. Oh, this is absolutely awesome. Look at that, bouncing from left to right and vice versa. There we go, and we simply turn it off. That is absolutely awesome. So as you can see, it's working perfectly fine, and you are able to go and test it as well, which is even better. Absolutely love it. And I so hope you enjoyed this step-by-step assembly. And yeah, I would so appreciate if you left a like down below and subscribe for more videos like this. And head over to Rokr website if you want this kit yourself or any other kit. And use my promo code Martins15 to save 15%. And thank you so much for watching, everybody. I shall see you all next time. Bye for now.